Hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Spaziani, and I'm one of the directors here at the Sexual Health Alliance. Today, I have the honor of being here with Dr. David Lay. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun to get to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, you too. So to start off, do you just want to tell all of our viewers kind of who you are and a little bit about yourself and your career?
Sure. Well, I'm David Lay. I'm a psychologist in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And like most people in behavioral health, I got no training in sexuality, and yet I was working with sex offenders and doing that work, and then started working more with folks in the alternative sexuality crowd, all without really having any training around sexuality, which thank God I didn't break anybody. But I realized a while back that I needed to fill that gap for myself. So I ended up doing a lot of education, pursuit, research around healthy sexuality. I've ended up writing 3 books around sexuality and got certified as sex therapist and everything else. And I've really, I have now kind of 2 careers. I do psychology, mental health work in New Mexico, and I have a very large nonprofit that I run. And then I also do a lot of training and writing and education and speaking around healthy sexuality for therapists and helping them to learn how to help their therapist. It's really exciting. I get to do all this neat stuff, and I get to talk about sex and help therapists learn how to talk about sex, which is always fun.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. No, you wear a lot of hats. I know that about you, that's for sure. But it's always quality. It's always a great experience learning and listening from you. So I can definitely attest to that part of
Well,
everything,
thank you. That's very kind of you.
of course. So to help our students and presenters get to know a little bit about you, the personal side of Dr. David Lay, do you want to share with us maybe some of the top 3 items on your bucket list?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to go back to Burning Man whenever Burning Man happens. I've been to Burning Man several times, and it's a really fabulous just kind of experience. It's free and self-determining in so many cool, amazing ways, and there's really cool people and amazing art. So I want to get back there. I'd love to take my wife to Australia and swim on the Great Barrier Reef. While that's still there, right? A few years ago, I got a trip down to Australia to do a TV show, but I couldn't take my wife, so I really want to get her down there. Beyond that, I don't know. I might like to try hang gliding or paragliding or something like that. I like the idea of flying.
Yeah, yeah, and traveling in general, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Seriously. Yeah, at this point, just getting out of the house and it sounds decadent.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely share that dream of the Great Barrier Reef with
Mhm.
I love the water life. So can't wait one day.
I agree.
One of my favorite questions that I love to ask sexuality professionals and really professionals of any kind is who is your sexual role model?
So I started asking that question years ago, and it really it makes people realize that we don't think a lot about how we want to be sexual. And I've, and at this point, I'm lucky that I've got the blessing of a lot of sexual role models, a lot of educators out there who have demonstrated what it is to be a professional and a sexual being. You know, one of the things I've been saying now for a little while is that we uh, we know a lot more about Trump's sexuality than we do Obama's.
Hmm.
And it's sad because I think President Obama is probably a much better lover than Trump was. When you watch President Obama dance with Michelle, there is caring and patience and this reciprocation. There's mutuality. There's presence. He's in the moment. Um, I can look at the way President Obama dances with his wife and say, that's the kind of sexual gentleman I want to be.
Mm, that's touching. It really is. I've seen all of the things that show their relationship dynamics as well. It's become very popular on the internet, and he's quite a respectable lover, I would say, as well. So that's
Yeah.
great.
And
Great.
and I wish that we paid more attention to that as opposed to the sensational, salacious, selfish kind of sexuality that gets so much attention.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Beautiful, David. Well, another favorite question that I love to ask professionals, especially in sexuality, is maybe what is some of the worst or bad advice that you've heard people, professionals in the field, give out that maybe some of our students and presenters might want to stay away from?
Um, God, I've got horror stories. We could be here for a while, but probably the one that sticks in my craw the most are the people out there who are saying, look, sexual satisfaction and sexual pleasure just aren't that important. Where people are saying, look, your partner, they're a good provider and they're a good parent and they're not out there getting in trouble and you're safe with them. And the fact that they don't really like the kind of sex that you will like, or the fact that they don't want the kind of sex that you want, really shouldn't matter all that much. That we treat sexual satisfaction and sexual pleasure as though it's optional, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and then we have people hit like a midlife crisis where they're like, look, I realize sexuality really is very important to me. And now they're kind of blowing up their marriages and their lives. And everybody's like, wow, you're being so selfish. Well, no, it was a mistake when we allowed people to think that sexual satisfaction shouldn't be important to them, and that they should just discount it. Dan Savage, a good friend of mine, says that everybody should have sex before marriage to find out if they're sexually compatible, because it's an awful thing to get married and find out you're not.
Mhm.
Those are some of the messages that I'd really like to break down. Now, I think that it varies person by person. For some people, sexuality and sexual satisfaction is really important. For other people who have lower libido, or where sexuality is just not all that much of a priority for them, um, it can be okay. But the important thing is that we're applying the expectation for the people where low libido is okay to everybody.
Mhm.
So one of the things I talk a lot about is sexual integrity, which requires us to be self-aware of our sexual needs and interests, to be able to accept them, to be able to communicate them, and to be able to negotiate them in a place of mutual respect with our partner. That requires us to be able to accept our sexuality and not hate ourselves for that, for having those sexual desires.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that term, sexual integrity. I think it speaks to just how diverse sexuality is. And that's part of why I love studying it and
Yeah.
studying it so much, is just that there isn't one right way for every single being out there, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, that speaks to a lot of that. As you know, as our Shaw, one of our Shaw advisory board members, that our goal here at this organization is to provide all kinds of helping professionals with high quality training and sexuality education and training on how to talk to their clients or patients or whoever they work with about, competent sexuality. So with that being said, what do you think is some of the most important pieces about sex and sexuality that you would like all providers out there to incorporate into their practices?
You know, um, one of the Shaw students the other day said in their final project something that I thought, I was like, holy crap, that's brilliant, and I'm going to steal that. So I'm stealing it right now. And they said, you need to be aware of your sexuality issues before you walk in the door and have a conversation with your patient about their sexuality issues. And Renee, this is Renee LaVale, and she said it much more eloquently than I can, but she said, before you open the door to walk in the therapy room with your patient, talk about sex, you have to know where you stand. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is just so critical. And knowing not only where you stand, but knowing where you stand on sexuality, and that other people are in different places. Because I think that's the blind spot often, where we assume that where we stand on sexuality is the right place and everybody else is there, and if they're not, they're wrong. But again, we only get there through training, like Shaw does with SARS and everything else, of recognizing that normal sexuality is a much bigger curve than we ever thought. I want more therapists to know that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that applies to all kinds of helping professionals too, where you might think you have it all figured out, and then you start to do the training and you start to unravel those pieces of yourself, and you're like, whoa. I have a lot of work to do. So yes, very relevant. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So last but not least, I just want to roll out the red carpet for you. Tell the world what you're working on, or what you might want them to check out, where they can find you, and yeah, anything important you'd like everyone to know.
Well, you can find me at the Sexual Health Alliance. As Taylor said, I'm on the advisory board, do a lot of trainings there, and really support where the Sexual Health Alliance is taking training for therapists. I'm on Twitter, I'm on, I'm other places, but one of the things that I'm really passionate about these days is helping to develop other professionals and therapists who are out there expanding these territories the way I've been. It feels amazing to be part of a team. And with all of the folks that are going through the Sexual Health Alliance training, that team is getting bigger and better. It's really thrilling to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So much collaboration involved here. Well, thank you so much, Dr. David Lay, for joining us today. And everybody, catch him on March 27th and 28th. The year it's 2021. You can purchase tickets on our website, www.sexualhealthalliance.com, and check out his upcoming training on modern sexual issues. Thank you again, Dr. David.
Thanks, Taylor. Nice seeing you.